Okay, do we want to start with the database stuff? Probably. Bilgan, you want to start out with that?
Sounds good. Yeah. So the first question, after we received the database tables from you, so we just wanted to know how you use Microsoft Access database, like in your normal workflow.
Would you like me to show you? Because I'm at work.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Oh, can you actually see this well enough?
Yep, perfect.
Yeah? Okay, so when a student first comes in, even if it's just for receipts, we will... Ahmed Theostar, come here and hold this. Language. Oh. You okay? Hang on. Just sit this side. Focus, Lucky. Is that sideways for you?
Yes, it is.
Sideways. Okay. So the first thing we do is we go to the student table, and then to see here, we've already looked up somebody's name because we have, for example, so many names that repeat. Like we've got Fadl Abbas Mansour, Fadl Abbas Muhammad, because basically in Islamic society, the names are kind of your male lineage. So like, for example, if we take Janat, this is actually her father's name. This is her grandfather's name. This is her great-grandfather's name. So it follows. That's why you have so much repetition. And so then we'll just, you know, search for whatever, let's say Abdul Karim. Yeah, and so then we'll take the student ID there. Then we'll go to the student enrollment. And so then we can see what's going on with this kid. And if we close this, then it'll also tell us how much is outstanding.
Okay.
So then we've got the registration dates, the gender, the school grade, the birthday, the contact numbers, the address. This is when they took the placement test and what was the results. So this is KB4, which means Kids Box 4, which means he's primary school level 4. This is the ID of the group that he's enrolled in. And then you got the days, the time, the age range, the level, the section, because each level has 3 different sections. The first day, which should be filled in, and the result of this is that he's confirmed. There are different options to this. Like, for example, if we've had parents that come back and say, you know, these days and times don't work for us, we do sometimes have more than one level, of the same level at different days. So then we will put, for example, transfer out, then put today as the last day, and then put the new ID of the same level in, and then put them into that class. When we want to see, for example, the enrollment of that particular group. So let's use this as an example. So 560 for the group. We will go down to course enrollment. And then we go 560, which is the course ID. And now we can see all of his classmates. Yeah. And so the ones who are unconfirmed, it means that they said they were interested, but they haven't actually shown up yet. And then the cancel enrollment is very predictably, you know, they changed their mind and they have not transferred out to another group. They have literally said, you know, we want to stop for now. Then very typically, you know, we need to do a receipt for students. Then this will be the new receipt number. Put in the student ID, the names will come up automatically. We have to manually enter the course, then choose the item from the drop-down menu, how many, and the amount. The amount is also put in manually, and then we just make notes. So in case there's any discrepancy between the description of the item and the amount, we know exactly what it is they're supposed to be paying for. I was going to show you, we can go here, and if we go to, let's say, something a little bit older, so here we can see at course ID 200, if we ever want to look back and see, you know, if they passed by how much, or if they failed, how badly, we can go here and look it up to see how well they did. What else is important? If, for example, we find that a group is a little bit on the low side, then we go to, 1 second, there we go, a re-enrollment eligible, and that queries that for us, and then that will come up in a sec. Oh, wait, is it open here as well?
No.
So normally that comes up with a list of students that have completed a certain level, so they are eligible to go into a group that you have open right now. What else is important? When we've finished with the invoicing, then we also have a query for the account balance, so we can just call the people that are behind with their payments. And this is something we use quite often, which is a query course information. So here are the IDs of the courses that are open, and we can see how many classes have been completed. This should always be a change from waitlist to active, it just we're behind with data entry. How many confirmed students, how many unconfirmed students, and then the level, the section, the age group, the date it started, date it finished, when the section exam is, the days and times, and who's teaching it. What else? We also do the student attendance. Yeah, so we'll put in the student ID and then do that. Student enrollment, what I showed you earlier. This scheduling the meetings. This is when we want to actually start a course. We put a course ID in there, the start date, the days that it's going to be on, and how many meetings they're going to have. And that actually kind of schedules it in the system so that you can actually end up with this happening. Yeah, so how many lessons you're going to have, who taught it. And that's also important because if we go here to Excel, where we've got the course schedule, then if you put in, for example, 560, which is what that Abdul Karim kid had, then it will automatically change to the level, the time, the teacher, the classroom, and this is printed out and given to the parents. So it'll sort of keep them on track, so, you know, when they have to pay their installments and all the different days they've got class. This is significant because in case somewhere in the middle of this, let's say there's a holiday for some reason, you know, the center's going to be closed, it will still give you the correct dates. But that comes back to, if we go here, the calendar. So, here. Okay, so here we need to manually put in all the days that the center is going to be open and closed. So let's find some time that we're shut to show you. Oh, here we go. For example, Ramadan, we're closed. And so it's closed not just for a certain grade levels, it's closed for all grade levels. So then when we try to schedule a class, the system will automatically take in this to account. So let's say we want to start a group here, it will only give you one class worth here, and you have to wait until the end of Ramadan. So that's about it. I hope that sort of was helpful. Did I go too fast?
Yes, of course. Thank you.
Does the Access create those Excel files, or that's something you maintain separately?
So I created the template, and it's actually Excel pulls from Access to fill it in for me. Night, love.
Victoria, I wanted to ask real quick, just looking through the tables in the database, it looks like there's a handful of them that are kind of deprecated at this point, things that haven't really been touched in like 4 or 5 years or haven't had anything entered into them. I just want to make sure like we didn't end up like scrapping something that you still wanted to hold on to or anything like that. Are there any particular pieces of information that you know for sure we can make sure it just isn't ported over with us?
I'm just looking through here. I think a lot of the query that have sort of been put together, because I cannot do this, someone did it for me. I think a lot of this is kind of redundant, but I don't use it at all. I really just use the Q course information. I use eligible re-enrollment, account balances, for people that are late with payments, and that's pretty much it. I think I would like to keep the class call list, but even that is actually not really essential. Typically, admin will go through with it one at a time. I think that's just because they forgot that that's there.
Gotcha. One other thing that we had in some of the early research was some mentions of y'all having some problems losing student data or losing track of student data. Wondering if you could clarify that a little bit so we understand it.
The trouble is that because it's so kind of data entry intensive, it does kind of predict things for us and kind of autofill that's why if we get a little bit behind in terms of, we've got so much work going on, stuff just kind of, like the priority list gets a little bit warped. So, this is not a big deal, I'll leave it for later, and then later doesn't happen. But I don't think there's too much you guys can do about that, though.
All right.
Good night.
So the next question was, it's actually for our benefit, kind of, and how much time generally does it take, to enroll a student, and then give them the test and upload all the documents?
Okay, so the placement test, it takes about 20 to 25 minutes for them to do the multiple choice. The speaking test takes about 5 to 10 minutes. Ahmed, you can probably answer this really well. How long does the data entry normally take?
Data entry, like for
Like
one form?
Exactly. So like one student enrollment.
Okay, so no, it's like 3 minutes.
About 3 minutes.
If you like not slow typing.
Yeah. Yeah, because
Picking it up, right?
so sorry, 2 seconds. Am I dropping the car at the house? Yeah. Okay, fine. So sorry. my co-worker is also my brother-in-law.
One other thing that we were curious about, how many different users, I know you had mentioned about opening up a second location in another village, but how many different staff members are you anticipating are going to need access to this database? Because the tool set that we're looking to set you up with has potentially a little bit pricey if it expands a little bit too much.
So like four or five. At the moment, 3. So me and 2 admin. But I think that down the line, another 2 would probably be very, very likely.
Okay, I think that would be fine then for what we plan on having to use. So.
Okay.
I think that's all the database stuff that we had. Does anyone have anything else that jumped out at you there? No? Cool. Michael, you want to talk about the documentation stuff?
Yep. Hi, Victoria.
Hey.
Okay, so we would like to know what kind of documents you scan.
Okay, so we scan the registration form. We scan the contract that they signed. That's basically, the total course amount is for fees is 90 dinars, but we break it up
into 3 installments, so it's easier for people, but you can't not pay. That's basically the most important point of that. It's just for people to really take us more seriously. Not that we've ever really, taken it any further than that, because that's not how we roll. If, people really don't want to pay or they don't have the money, then just leave them alone. And we scan the placement test in case there was ever a data misentry, so we can look that up. We scan pre-test. A pre-test is exactly the same as the final, but we give it at the beginning on the first day of the course, so we have a measurable output from the course. So then they take it again to the final 3 months later, and we can see the difference. We also scan their progress reports that they get once a month. And anything that is significant. By that I mean some teachers have taken to start doing oral testing of their students. So, we keep that. And if, like, for example, the teachers have ever taken it upon themselves to do some kind of essay that they think demonstrates mastery of the subject being taught, we'll scan that away as well.
Okay. So it's okay, like, once you upload these documents, they would be view only the PDFs.
Sorry, one more time, I didn't hear you.
So once you upload these documents, it's okay. They're like view only, like PDF documents.
Yeah, exactly. They get sent as a PDF document, and then we have individual student files on Google Drive, and we just kind of archive them there. It's very, very rare that we actually even open those student files again. I think that I wouldn't be exaggerating if I said we look them up maybe once a year, and that's normally when a parent goes like, I never knew that this was a 3-month course. And we go, yes, you did. It's not very often. And though we actually do tell the parents, no one has ever expressed an interest in seeing it, unfortunately, because I think it would be kind of cool as a parent to see, like, your kid's progress. But they do get printed copies of the progress report to take home, so I guess they're happy enough with that.
Okay. And my last question is, you guys are using Google Drive for everything, and would you like to continue to use Google Drive for everything?
I'm not bothered. It doesn't faze me one way or another.
Okay. Thank you.
So if there's something that you think works better, I'm totally fine with that.
We're not sure yet if we found something that works better. We just wanted to make sure first before it comes up as a possible idea that.
So sorry, the line is breaking up a little bit. It's possibly because I'm in the car. Could you repeat yourself, please?
It's okay. I said that we didn't look into another solution yet. We haven't. We wanted to make sure before we did that you weren't locked into Google Drive.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's totally fine. We still haven't sort of maxed out our storage, so it's still totally free for us, so we don't have any financial commitments. And, we don't heart them that badly that we want to stay.
Oh, awesome. Well, those are my questions. So, Leanna,
thanks so much.
Yeah, hi, Victoria.
Hi.
Hi. Next set of questions, which I'd like to ask you about parent and student dashboard.
Yeah.
So we would like to know more clarification on student dashboard in terms of taking a placement task online. Earlier you said, so there's a written portion and also speaking portion. So how do you, what do you have in mind in terms of, like, if we create a student dashboard where a student can log in, would it be that student comes to the branch and then you sit them at the computer, they can log in, take a written portion online, and then speaking portion would be something separate? Or yeah, how do you envision that exactly?
I think that would probably be best. The reason I say so is because I think from what I've seen, if parents are given half a chance to sit with their kids, they help them. And so the results don't give a true picture of what the child's ability is. So I think it would be best if they have to do it in the center. You know, in a perfect world where you tell parents, you know, please don't help them, you know, we need a true view on what your child is capable of, you know, they just leave it alone, but they don't have that. A lot of people mistakenly believe that they're taking a placement test for us to accept them into the center, as in if you fail, you can't get in, which is not the case. You know, it's just to find out what your English ability is.
Okay, so then like taking it online, would that only like consist of like a written portion, right? And is that still something that you would like to have? Because you said also earlier like to save paper, right?
Exactly. If we could have that, would be amazing. You know, I mean, just like the other week we put up, you know, Save Our Environment posters everywhere. So I would really like to be able to follow through with that and, you know, actually walk the walk. So then, you know, if we could have like the registration form online, and the contract online, and the, you know, the written part of the placement online, and perhaps even sort of, you know, have a field that for the oral test can only be filled in by a teacher, you know, someone who's actually giving them the oral test, then again that would be even less paper. So that would be really, really great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
There's one thing that when it comes to the online placement test, if that, you know, we get that far, there are some rules with it. Like, for example, for the primary schoolers, for the first, there's part 1 and part 2. For part 1, it's out of 25, and they need to have, I think it's a minimum of 14 correct to be able to move to part 2. And
Okay.
with the other kind of placement test that's for teenagers, they get marked per 20. So there's 120 questions in total, but you only allow them to take 20 at a time. And per 20, they need to be able to get 13 correct to be able to move to the next 20.
Okay, got it. So next question, we would like to get some clarification on grades. Is there a grading system? And if there is, like, how would you like it to be like accessed? Like, is it accessed? Currently, do you have a grading system? Or, yeah.
Do you mean, like, for example, you know, attendance gets a certain percentage, classwork gets a certain percentage? Do you mean like that?
Yes, and then if we were to have parents access like student records, right? Is there some like grading system that you follow that we would, you know, we need to kind of display for a parent? Or would you just like them to see the documents itself, or of like taking some exams, or how does that work?
So I would like the pre-test and the final to be displayed, because the final exam is actually how, like, the final grade. You know, it comes from the test itself, and also a teacher has a part to fill in that has a weight of 40 points that's based on their speaking ability. And the progress reports, they don't have any weight towards the final exam. It's just for the parents to know how their child is doing in each grading criteria, you know, by the teacher's opinion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. So also currently on your website, you have tags like content divided into English and Arabic, right? So if we were to implement that feature on the website, would you like to have it like a drop down that you can select English or Arabic, or how would you like content to be displayed in terms of including both languages?
So sorry, it went completely dead for a second. The last thing I heard was drop down menu.
Yeah. So how would you like content to be displayed on the app for parents and students in terms of like languages, right? Currently, you have just English followed by Arabic, right? But
Okay.
would you like to have like a drop down that you can just completely change English or the other language, or how would you like that to be?
Is it possible to have it that, because like what I've seen in most websites in this neck of the woods is that you'll have English and Arabic sort of side by side up at the top of the website, and then you choose what language you want, and then just everything changes into that language.
Okay, yeah, that would be like, yes, that would be like a drop down, sort of selecting a language, or we can
Yes,
do
yes.
side by side. Yeah, okay, thank you. And then just one more question from this category. So how long does it take, like currently registration process, like how long does it take? Like parent needs to call the school and schedule an appointment, or what is on average like time that parents spends on this whole to onboard a child?
Okay, so normally the parents will call to get the information, and then they'll ask when they can come in, and we won't give them an exact appointment. We'll give them a range. Now, for them to come and register and take a placement test, we normally tell them come between 4 and 7. So any time that's good for you is good for us, because right now we're not very busy. But when we are at peak season, then we actually try to schedule it as much as possible, and we say that we can take a maximum of 15 students in any 1 hour block with one teacher sort of administering placement tests. And so the placement tests take anywhere from 2 minutes. That's if a student is a total beginner, can't read, can't write, can't speak, because there's basically nothing for them to do. It's just, so what's your name? And then, shrug our shoulders and like, okay, no problem. You're a total beginner. Or it can go up to, let's say, 45 minutes for an advanced user, because they'll get through more of the test. So normally, as soon as a parent and child walk in, we'll direct the parent to the reception area, where the receptionist will go through the contract with them to make sure there's absolutely no misunderstandings or gray area. And the parent will start filling out the registration form. And then usually myself will take the child directly into the placement test room in order to save time, so they don't hang around the center for so long getting bored. And then as soon as they're done, they come back. I brief the parents on the child's strengths and weaknesses, and what they can expect the child to be capable of by the end of the 3 months. The child to be capable of by the end of the whole level, which is 9 months long. And then I'll tell reception what level the child has attained, and reception will sit with the parents to show them the different scheduling options, and then the parents make their final. Oh, not you. Yeah. So then the parent will choose what schedule they want, and then that's it. Then we print out. Did you see that screen that was like with Excel? Yeah, before scheduling.
Yes.
So then we'll immediately print that off and give to the parents, and that's it. So in terms of time, I guess about an hour.
Okay, from the moment that parent calls to the school and until the placement test is taken.
I would say from the moment the parent walks through the door until the moment they walk back out the door with the schedule.
Okay, got it. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, Victoria, and I will asking how is the placement test scheduling handled? Like, do you have to make appointment, like schedule before you take a placement test?
So when we are incredibly busy, we do prefer that the parents call and schedule it. That being said, we have never turned a student away in case they haven't scheduled a placement test, assuming that a teacher is around to do it. And when we are not busy, like, now we've already gone through kind of the peak registration period, then we can sort of tell them, come in any day, 6 days a week between 4 p.m. and 7 p.m.
Okay. And how many placement tests the student need per person?
So a teacher can handle 15 students per hour at any one time. And the student will have to take the multiple choice test and the oral test.
Okay. And so you already like say a little bit that how you determine student the placement test, but if you don't mind, if you can like email us the some of the old placement tests, then we can
Sure.
see, and we can decide like how we gonna design database for the placement test. Like
Sure, I can give you access to some of the online student files, so you can see what's in there as well.
Okay.
Like an Arabic script.
Oh, yeah, but the placement tests in English, they'll be fine. Sorry, Ahmed's just saying that some of it's in Arabic, like the contract's in Arabic, but you'll get the idea that it's a contract that's signed at the bottom, and the rest of the documents are in English, so you'll be able to follow.
Okay. And do you provide your own placement test or outsource, like use outside sources?
So the placement tests are given by Cambridge, which is also the material that we use, like the publisher.
Okay.
Yeah. But just the oral part of the test was made in-house.
Okay. Okay. And Scott will ask you some more questions.
Yes, hi, Victoria. I was wondering, do you have an actual school year?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. And
we've got around 300 students currently enrolled, and they all come twice a week, and each class is an hour and a half long.
What date did the school year go from?
So we go from September to May. Ahmed, May? Okay. So September and count 9 months. So we think September to May. But it really depends on when Ramadan falls, because that interrupts everything.
Okay. Now, you were interested in online classes. Would that just be a camera viewing your current classes, or would that be a separate thing?
So we were thinking that would be really nice if we can have a camera in our existing classes. But the thing is that so much of what we do is hands-on, that an online student is just going to experience dead air time, which is of no value. So if we were able to implement online classes, it would have to be a separate thing.
I see. And would it be interactive, or would it's something they could take any time in it?
So the publisher has already got online versions of the books that we use, and we're super familiar with. So I thought it would be awesome if the kids can use that whilst also like FaceTiming. So they can sort of see the teacher. I know some of the Chinese competitors have made it like an app, so it's super duper integrated. Like you've got a tiny part of the screen where you can see the teacher's face, and they can even like circle on stuff. But I think that would be like really, really difficult to do. That's not going to be a quick jobby at all. So I think that might be overreaching a little bit.
See. Okay, and Mark, didn't you have a classes question?
I think it was covered already. We want to make sure we knew like what the process really was of onboarding a student. But the team is provided of like the registration flow. If I'm correct, is it they just go on the site, register, fill out a registration form with like a CPR, and then they accept the terms and then submit and schedule a time for a test?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I just
go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. I just have a follow-up. So because I saw, I do get the like registration, yeah, then the scheduling task, but then there was one screen that shows a parent, their children with the courses they're enrolled in. So my question was like, when we register a student, right, do we know based on the information that's been provided in the registration which course they belong to?
Popcorn. Sorry, popcorn. Oh no, salty popcorn. So sorry, we're at the cinema. Sorry, one more time. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no, no worries. So there was a screen from one of the documents that I saw that displays parent, their children, and then under children there's a course that they're enrolled in. At what moment does that happen? Like if we were to like decide, like, do we know after registration based on students' age which course they belong to, or how do we handle that on our side, like in a
That's a really valid question. That is actually decided by the parent. So for example, we know, let's say that a child is in Kids Box Level 2 Section A, okay, which we call KB2A, just to make it short, okay? And then we know that because of their placement test results and their age, because KB is only for primary schoolers, okay? And the level that they attained was level 2, and they're right at the beginning of the book, so therefore it's section A. Now we can tell the parents, okay, now this is a very popular level, so we've actually got 4 groups of that. So would you like it on Saturday, Tuesday at 3:30 to 5? Would you like it Saturday and Tuesday 5:15 to 6:45? Would you like it Sunday, Wednesday at 3:30? So forth. And then the parent can choose which schedule suits them most.
I see. Okay. Yeah, makes sense. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I'm so sorry to interrupt, and I need to really upgrade my Zoom account. But would somebody go ahead and start another Zoom? Because this is fixing to end. We only have a minute left.
Power talk, speed talk.
Yeah, we have one more question about competitors, but I would rather have all this time for them to ask about it. And we only have a minute left, so I'm gonna go ahead and end the call and start a new one.
Okay, sure.
Sorry about that.